twins are fascinating. I love using twins. And we use twins in two different ways. So the first is to get at this idea of gene-environment interaction, this idea that it's not just nature, it's not just nurture, but that in fact environments are interacting with genes in these ways to shape development over time. So one approach to get at gene-environment interaction that people use is to actually measure something about people's DNA. So you have someone spit or give you a sample of blood, and you go in and you measure, okay, they have this gene versus this gene. The difficulty with that is that most of those genes account for just a very little bit of the variance in any of the behaviors that we're interested in. So it can explain, 0.5% or 1% of something like IQ or achievement or sexual behavior. But if you look at twins, instead of looking at the influence of one or two particular genes, you're trying to get at, okay, what is the total influence of all the possible genes that might influence this phenotype? So it's a way of sort of stepping back and saying, well, I can't say that the genetic effect is composed of this versus this versus this, but overall, I know that 60% or 80% of the variance in what I'm interested in is due to genes. Okay, now that you know this, how is that modified by environments that we're interested in? So for example, one study we looked at teens smoking and drinking, and showing that there's this genetic influence on teen smoking and drinking, which we estimated by comparing how similar twins were to each other. But that genetic influence was modified by their peer group, so that if they were in a really high-risk peer group, a peer group that also smoked and drank a lot, then those genetic influences were really, really important. But if they were in a peer group that was fairly abstaining, fairly innocent, then those genetic influences didn't really matter. So it's a way of using the similarity of twins to try to get at not just how much do genes matter for something, but also how do those genetic influences, are they modified by aspects of the environment that we can measure? So that's one way. The second way is using twins as kind of a control group. So again, you're taking people who are genetically identical and raised in the same home, but who differ in some aspect of their environmental experience. So you are able to control for a lot more than you would if you were comparing a bunch of unrelated people.